I'd be home by 9. Hell, I tell her that most of the time. Whoa, baby, don't know, won't hurt her too much. Whoa, I'll tell her where, but I won't say what. Oh, now I'm dancing, oh, I'm dancing. I'm dancing with the devil. Oh, now I'm dancing, oh, I'm dancing. I'm dancing with the devil. Oh, pour me a whiskey, oh, Bucky.
Here at the Otter Creek in Rio Grande, I'm gonna get started on finishing up the details for what I'm calling the carpenter's shop. And I've got this large workbench that's going to kind of go in this back corner. I've got a drill press. I've got another kind of workstation that I think will coincide with this, which is appears to be a DeWalt radial arm saw, very similar to the one that I have. And I've got this, which is a joiner, and then I've also got what appears to be a lathe. And I'm going to paint these up and do a little more detail work inside for sure on the floor. I think it's a little too clean. And then I'm also going to add some lights so that, you know, because the barn door, as a few people have pointed out, is wide open, you know, you got to be able to see in there, which means there needs to be some light. Now, if you're wondering what's going on here, this is somebody who happens to be getting in trouble from this person who is probably a railroad magnate. I haven't decided if that's Otter himself or not. It probably is. I don't know that I'll find anyone better than that to represent Otter himself. And the reason that he's here, this guy, is because I need to lift this workbench up to about waist height. So I'm going to measure, you know, what the distance is from his waist, and then try and figure out some kind of legs for the workbench there. So let's get started. Some in progress on the details. Now, everything started out with kind of this dark earth color, just a rattle can color. And then I go in and do what they call a xenophil fade or whatever, where I just dust the top of everything with white. And the idea behind that is it helps create variances in color as you paint. So some of the boxes that I'm working on, I don't know how well you can see. It's just a matter of putting on layer after layer until you kind of get what you want. Now the machinery, this came pre-painted. Can I even show it? And I washed it down. Probably won't focus. Just kind of put a light brown wash on it to where it didn't look like two colors, because really it was just two colors. And then I've got these other machinery pieces that were gray. And I went ahead and tried to match their colors. This is a drill press that it came broken already. You can see the place where you'd put your work to drill through is snapped off. I lost it. And then I got a lathe here. So that's all coming along well. And then, of course, I've got the workbench. I've got my base color of wood. I originally was going to drill little holes in here and put like 6-inch posts for the feet. But this material does not drill. So it worked out to where 3 HO cross ties would work well stacked on. So I figure, they've got plenty of those that they're using inside the bottom of the mine to shore up all of their tunnels and whatnot. And so that's what I'm using for it. So I'm going to continue painting on this and probably come back after I've got the bulk of it finished. I think I've got everything painted up, at least everything for what I'm doing right now for the building and, these crates and stuff. I don't know if all of them will, but at least 2 different groups will go in front of the boiler house. And, this is one of those things that sometimes I dread getting started on this kind of thing because it's just so time consuming. I always love the end result when it's over and done with. But you start doing this kind of thing and you get so focused in on some of these little details, and you realize that no one is ever really, like the top of this bench, no one's ever going to see that. You might be able to see the flash of color on the backside. So, what happens with me is I get in the moment of doing stuff, and I probably add more detail that really needs to be in there. So, here's a look at the lathe, and I don't know, this is another kind of a locker or something, but most of this stuff is going to go inside the building. And what I used for the anything wood, I use flat earth, golden brown. I think all of these are AK or Vallejo. I think all of these are Vallejo except for one. Wood, light brown, and then kind of a highlight, I use this sand ivory. I tend to use this dark gray blue. And of course, all of the primary colors, red, blue, green, yellow, and then, you got pure white and then an ivory white. I use this silver for anything that needs to be silver. And then I've got various different washes. You can, this is a dedicated brown wash. You can also just create it out of whatever you want. Like the shadow rust is another color that I tend to use. And then I also use this kind of beige red, kind of a flesh color, which is nice to add in as a highlight in areas. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of compose this where it's going to go in the building and work on the floor in the building and see about adding some signs inside the building. I kind of already know that this particular item needs to be in this back corner here. And I think the locker box, probably won't be able to see it. It needs to go right here. The lighting is terrible. I also want to put a couple of barrels in here too, and I think a series of 2 barrels right here. Oops, would go good in this corner. Of course, you guys cannot see what I'm doing. Like that. And then the radial arm saw, DeWalt, goes right here. And then I think this cabinet goes next to it somewhere. Of course, you know, if it was a working carpenter's shop, it probably wouldn't be arranged the way I'm going to arrange it for practical reasons, but you know, I'm wanting proof of life. There's something going on in this building, right? Now, I think the lathe probably needs to be right here with enough room to walk in between it and the cabinet. Then I'll want the joiner right across from it. And then finally, what's left of the drill press. I was really disappointed that that was broken, but that's okay. It goes right next to the door. Now, do I have room for another barrel? Should I put another barrel in there? Maybe the red barrel? And then Jim Bob here, he's scratching his head because he's got too much work to do. That's kind of an idea. So what I want to do now is kind of figure out where the signs should go. And I think I've got a good place for one right here, kind of back behind the drill press. And I think I've got one for back behind on top of where the workbench is, and then maybe a more vertical one right next to the locker. And I think I can put a couple in here. All right. That probably was kind of a worthless effort in sharing with you guys because you just couldn't see anything. I'll take pictures, and this might not even make the video. I guess we'll just have to see. All right, I think it's time to cut some signs out. I picked out some signs and have got them installed, if that's the right word. And I think the only one you can really read maybe is these in the back. 7-Up coffee for some strange reason, and this Epco Giant cigar for a nickel. The rest, except for this one, I think, you know, both those two, if I can, I'm probably pointing at them and you can't see them, but this one and this one on the back wall here, those are pinup girls. I'm not sure if it would be period appropriate, but it doesn't really matter that this one is too, because you can't see them, right? There's stuff hanging on the wall that again is proof of life. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stain the floor. I hope this works out the way I want it to. I'm a little concerned that it might not work the way I want. See if I can do this without spilling my brand new bottle of Silverwood by Builders and Square, one of my favorite stains. And I'm hoping that this will just darken it enough to make it look like it's well used, but not make it so dark that it looks like it's overused, I guess. All right, I'm going to let that dry up and then see where to go from there. Everything is glued in and kind of fixed in place where I want it, and I thought I'd go ahead and take some camera footage of the scene as it's developing here. And this first look, you can see Otter standing in front of his 1914, what is it? I think it's a Astro Dimer. And he's just taking a look at the two nubs here. Otter and the grappler go way back. I've also included this angle here, which is kind of showing the lathe and the far wall to the right. And then I've also kind of move things around so you can see the broken drill press and some things on the wall and the corner of the desk. And then finally, you can see Jim Bob here scratching his head again, because the two nubs also does a little work for the town of Maroon Creek, where if they got something that needs to be machined, Jim Bob here will do it for him. And the money, of course, goes to Ronnie, owner of the two nubs. Now, finally, we've got the top-down view with the roof removed, and you can kind of see what's going on from this perspective. And I'm at a point now where I need to come in and figure out where I want to run the wire for the roof, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be this corner. So I'm going to mark that, make sure I kind of know exactly where I want to drill. Now, obviously, I want this hole to be as kind of small and non-visible as possible. So I'm going to start with a small hole that I can see from the bottom side. And I've got bad drill bits, I'm just going to say it. All the drill bits you really need, you end up breaking. And then so you end up using something else that you might not want to use. I'm not sure if I'm all the way through yet or not. I think I am. Take a look at my light. This is it's a warm white nano, so it should be pretty small. The light will be smaller than the wires. Yeah, you can see it right there. So the hole coming into the building doesn't need to be very big. Unfortunately, the one thing I don't like about these Just Plug Woodland Scenics lights is the plug. You know, you have to put a pretty significant hole through the layout unless, you know, you want to cut and splice, which, you know, I suppose that's an option, but I would just rather not. So, let's see. I want to do a test run through a piece of scrap, just because. All right, concept confirmed. I don't need to go any more forward than that. Truth be known, I should have done this before I glued everything. In addition to the overhead light that will go in here, I've also got this gooseneck light that I want to put over the top of the double doors. And I'm a little concerned about it because I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna glue and affix itself to the wall up above the door, but I guess, you know, you live and you learn. So luckily I've got kind of a center line already drawn in here, which should coincide with the peak, so it should come out in between these two battens there. I think I'm going to try and do this without a drill bit at all. I mean, without a pin vise. Not the best planning in the world. If I'd have been smart, I'd have drilled this hole before I glued the walls on, right? And it's not perfectly centered, but it is through. It's small enough that I think I might be able to run another one right beside it. Okay, I think it's just a matter of adding just a little dab of super glue to set it, and then wick in some matte medium to kind of finalize the joint. So what I've done is I just kind of pulled just a little bit of tension on the wire here and fixed it with a clothespin just to kind of hold it in place, because I don't trust that super glue. And now I'm gonna wick in just a little bit of some matte medium. I'm gonna hit it with water first. This is just a little bit of water. And hopefully that will keep it kind of exactly where I want it to be. Do the same thing here. Let that water kind of create a bridge. And we'll also thin down the matte medium as you apply it. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I can start working on the hole down through the layout. All right, I've got that where I want it to be. Now, I'm just gonna create a hole in the foam here where I can see where this needs to come up from the bottom of the plywood. What I don't want to do is kind of rip out any of that pink foam if I can keep from it. Got the hole through the plywood, so I'm pretty much ready to put this thing together. And maybe you can see how I've routed the really fine wire for the gooseneck, and it's just, I left a little space right here at the end of this support where I can go in right there. I might need to put an extra barrel or something in here just to make sure that we block everything. So I'm ready to go in with the overhead light. Got this marked up so I have an idea of where I want this to go, which side, and kind of where the left and right limits are on where the wire can go. Needs to be right here somewhere in the center. Time for the moment of truth. See if I can't get these wires run down through. I absolutely want this to be easily removable because even the trees, everything on here needs to be able to be removed because I've got a lot of scenery work that will have to be done on the back side of this and track work. So all right, I guess now we just plug it in and see what it looks like. We'll try a little low light, just kind of see. We'll do the gooseneck first here. If I can get it to plug in. And then the shop light. All right, I would say it's successful. Now it looks a lot brighter on camera here than it does, me standing back behind. But on to the next project, which will be the boiler and hoist house and all of the lighting and cabling that needs to go on with it. Thanks for watching Otter Creek and Rio Grande.
Oh, pour me a whiskey, oh, Bucky. Oh, pour me 4 more so I can sleep.